Hey everybody, this is Robert Burke. Welcome to episode number 19 of When to Play. On today's episode, we are going to be talking about the game Keyflower. Now, Keyflower is a Euro game. It has some twists, though, that I will talk about during the game. And this is the new one that was released in conjunction with Game Salute. So it is available now. So I think the first thing, the artwork, you'll see the artwork it's a very colonial type themed game. I guess the Keyflower is based on the Mayflower, and you're bringing ships in with different people, and each player is building a village out of tiles. So it's got that kind of colonial feeling to it. The artwork, I think, is fine for that colonial feeling. It's got kind of primitive look that fits with that colonial theme. The graphic design, though, is not the best. Here, this is the rule book. The rule book is fine. I think it's not a great rule book. It's not something that I read and say, wow, yeah, that makes total sense. I don't need to read this rule book again. It's one of those rule books where everything is there, but you're going to probably have to read through it a couple times. You're going to definitely have to refer to it. Because a lot of the tiles are icon driven only, so you're going to have to refer to it a lot until you learn all the tiles, refer to what each tile, what that specific tile's power is. So the rule book suffices. All the tiles are explained, and you can see some of them are there's a lot of text on some of these tiles, so you're not going to know exactly what they mean when you first play the game. So you will be referring to this rule book a good deal during the game. Now, a lot of them you can figure out from the iconography, right? Some of them are kind of easy. Like this one looks like it's, trade in a pickaxe tool and get 3 gold. That's what it looks like to me. But if you're unclear on what the iconography means on these tiles, they're all explained with words here in the rule book. So the rule book it's okay. It's not great. I wasn't jumping up and down for joy saying, wow, what a great rule book. It's not going to win any graphic design awards, that's for sure. But it's all you really need to play the game. So kind of bare bones, we'll put it that way. Now, the component quality, I'm kind of a little bit mixed on that. They include a ton of bags for all your bits, which is great. I love it when companies include bags for you to bag everything up the way you would like. There is no insert in this box, so there's not going to be compartments for you to place your stuff. The box is a little bit on the thin side. I would have liked to seen the box a little bit thicker. The same with the tiles. The tiles they're not horrible, but they're just like, they're right at the edge of, it's a little bit thinner and it would have been unacceptable. But they're playable. They're going to work just fine. Again, the graphic design, you can see it does the job. It shows you everything you need to know, but it's not going to win any graphic design awards. That's for sure. The thing I disliked about the components that everybody seems to love, but functionally, I'm talking functionally, creatively, I think these little house screens are great. Everybody gets their own little house that you're going to be able to put your workers. Everybody's going to have different color workers, and I'll talk about that. But you're going to hide them because you keep them secret. The types of color combinations that you have of workers, you want to keep secret from other players. So you have these little screens. It's a little house. Inside the house, you can see it's all full color, and the outside is full color, and you can store your workers back there to keep them hidden. But you get them like this, and you've got to punch them out, and then you got to fold them down together and put them together like this. And then there are these little chimney pieces that you also have to punch out. These little tiny thin cardstock pieces that you slide in here to lock this in, so it doesn't fall apart, like so. You have to stick those little chimneys in. So, and my beef with that isn't that, I hate putting things together. I mean, it doesn't take that long to put it together, but it's going to be hard. I mean, if you put these back in the box already assembled, these heavier pieces are really going to crush these because they're not thick enough. And if you flatten them out, that would work and they would fit in the box better. But then every game you're you're reassembling these every game and then unassembling them at the end of the game, and then the next game you play, you're reassembling them. And there's going to be a lot of wear and tear on these screens if you're doing that, and they're not going to last long. So I don't know how I'm going to handle that yet. I think it looks great. I think it's neat, the design of the little houses, but functionally, I think it was just a bad decision. But that's just my opinion. There's also a bunch of little tools, a little cardboard counter tools. They're fine. The wood pieces are great. The resources, they're just painted wood. They're not round. They're little octagons, which will help prevent them from rolling off the table. But you've got gold and you've got iron, which are black, and you've got stone and wood and different resources, and then all the different color workers. So those are fine. So the components, especially today, in today's day and age, with the manufacturing quality we're seeing, with the quality level of the board gaming industry improving, it seems every year I get a game, I'm like, wow, these components are better than last year. This was kind of like a step back, in my opinion. But the gameplay is a different story in Keyflower. I think this game is fantastic. But I like Euro games. I can enjoy them. If you don't like Euro games, if you're not a fan of resource collection, if you don't like to build buildings and score victory points, then you're probably not going to like this, because it's the same kind of genre. You are putting out workers to collect resources, to build buildings, and then those buildings do something good for you, convert them to, helps you get more workers or more resources or victory points. So that's the basic foundation of the game, and I know there's 100,000 games on the market like that already, but this game really does have some twists that I think make it unique and make it interesting. So I'm not going to go into the details of this game. I would say this is probably a mid-weight Euro game. It's not really that heavy. It's not going to take that long to learn. But it's not that light either. There's a lot of things to think about. And there are new rules that you're going to need to learn in this game. But basically the game is divided into the 4 seasons. It will start with spring, move into summer, and then fall, and then finally winter. And the neat mechanic in here is an auction mechanic where you are bidding on these tiles. So you'll bid on these tiles and add them to your village. You will start with a home tile. And for example, if I won this tile in the summer, you'll see it's got a sun on the top there. That identifies it as a summer tile. If I win this tile, I will connect it to my village. You'll see the little roads. You've got to connect roads to roads. And then that's part of my village. And now I can convert 1 pickaxe tool that I gain into 3 stone. And then down here you'll see if I spend 3 stone, I can upgrade it. And the upgrade means that I'll be able to trade a pickaxe tool and convert it to 3 gold instead of 3 stone. And gold is like a wild card resource in this game. You can use gold for anything. So when I upgrade it, you turn it over the other side, and now it's an upgraded tile. So the first thing you're going to do is try to win the tiles that you want to win in this auction mechanic that I'll talk about in a moment. And then you're going to add it to your village. Your village is going to grow. You're going to try to connect stuff to each other. That one tile will help another tile, or one tile might need a resource that this tile provides. You want to tactically place the tiles, strategically place the tiles in the right spots. Then you can work on upgrading them to get a better benefit as the game goes on. So that's cool. But how you get these tiles is really neat. You've got different colors of workers. So there are blue, there are red, where are they? There's blue workers, there's the iron. All my workers come in this, I've got them all in this cloth bag right here because you're going to be drawing randomly. So here's a blue worker here, and they're just little meeples, wooden meeples, and there's yellow workers, and there's these special green workers that are more rare. But what happens is you'll put this tile out, this tile will be put out for bid on the table. And anybody wants to bid, if I wanted to bid, I could put any color meeple that I have on one edge of this tile here. I've just bid 1 on that tile. If somebody else wants to bid on this tile because they really want this tile, that was the upgraded side, if they really want this tile, then they would have to bid more than me. They would have to bid 2. But it has to be the same color that I started with. So if they don't have 2 yellow workers behind the screen, maybe they have all blue and all red workers and maybe only 1 yellow worker, they can't outbid me, so they will not be able to get this tile. However, they can also place that 1 yellow worker they have on this tile to get the benefit of it. So in this case, it would convert 1 worker into 2 random workers. That's what the question mark is. That would mean they would draw 2 workers randomly from the bag, so they just gained an extra worker by placing it on the tile before anybody has even won it, which is kind of a neat thing. Now, if I end up winning this and adding it to my village, I can use it. I could use that benefit for myself by placing workers, but other people can still use it as well. But every worker they place on one of my village tiles, at the end of that turn, I'm going to get to keep that worker. So, and the same thing goes for you. If somebody else has a tile in their village that you really need to use, you can use it. You can place a worker there, and then you'll get the benefit of that tile, but they will get your worker. So that's a really different dynamic that I haven't seen or played in a Eurogame before that I think works really well, and it's really cool. Now, if you are outbid, let's say somebody bid 1, let's say I bid 1, then somebody else bid 2, and then I bid 3, and they can't bid anymore. They get to take the 2 that they bid. They don't lose them. They can pick them up and place them and bid them somewhere else on another tile. But they can't separate them. You've got to keep those 2 together. So there is a negative part to losing a bid, but it's not horrible. It's not like, oh, I really messed that up. So I kind of like that too. And you never know what you're going to get in the bag when you draw. But every turn there's boats that are going to come in, and whoever has the initiative, and there's an initiative tile that you can bid on as well. A first player, that's going to give you the first player purple meeple here. There's a purple one, that's the first player marker. They're going to get to pick which boat they want first. So some of the boats might have more workers, some of the boats might have more tools, and depending on what you need is going to determine which boat is more valuable to you. So if you get to go first, you have to make the choice of, am I going to try to get what's valuable to me, or am I going to take this boat to really keep my opponent from getting something that they really need right now? And if I take that, then they're going to have to come to my tiles to get what they need, and I'm going to collect more workers that way. So I like those kind of decisions that you'll find throughout this game as you're playing it. Another neat thing is the winter tiles. The winter tiles are cool because this is how you score your bonus points at the end of the game. And so you've got 3 of these at the beginning of the game, and you've got to decide at the winter phase which ones you're going to put up for bid. You've got to put at least 1. And they could be different things. It could be like, you know, you get so many points for every worker that you have, or you get so many points for every, you know, resource that you have, or you get points for the different tools that you've collected, or whatever it is. So you are working during the game to try to position yourself to score those bonus points. If you want to win, right? You want to maximize those bonus points that you can earn in winter at the end of the game, but you've got to put them up for bid, and you've got to win the bid for those too. You might get something that doesn't help you as much, right? So during that winter bidding too, that can be interesting because you want to get the stuff that really helps you score points, or you might take the tact where you want to take a tile from somebody that you know is going to score a ton of points if they get a particular winter tile. So that stuff is really neat. And of course, there's tiles that totally change up the game. There's these boat tiles that will let you place, oh, this is a good one right here. This boat tile here will make it so you don't have to use the same color worker when you're bidding for a tile. So that's pretty huge, because a lot of the times there might be a tile that you really want to have and somebody bids 2 on it and you only have 2 of that color. So remember, you need to bid the same color as whoever started the bidding on that tile. So you never know what other people have during any given turn. You can try to remember what they carry over from turn to turn, and you know what comes in on the boat. But after a while, things can get lost, and it's hard to remember. Okay, how many red workers does he have? Do I need to bid 2, or can I bid? Do I have to bid 3? Or you're thinking about that kind of thing, especially on those tiles that you really want to win. So it's a very, very cool game. I was very pleasantly surprised with Keyflower. If you like resource management, if you like an auction mechanic, and you like resource management in Euro games, then this is something you definitely have to have. And again, this auction, this bidding mechanic in this game is really neat. It's different than anything I've experienced before. So the hexes, every player has a side. So you can play with 3 to 6 people. So with 6 people, one person would bid, they would place their little guys on one side of each tile. And whoever bids the most wins. And again, at the same time, people can place on top if they want the benefit. So your village grows, you're building your engines. Your engine might be to get a whole bunch of people. Your engine might be to get a whole bunch of resources. Your engine might be to get a whole bunch of tools. All in preparation for winter. You're preparing your village for winter is what's really happening in this game, which is thematic and it works, right? So when you get to winter, are you going to score the most points based on those winter tiles that you win in that auction? And have you collected the stuff that you need to score more points than everybody else? So Euro games, if the standard kind of pushback against Euro games that some people have will still apply. It can feel like a more solitary game. There's not a lot of interaction. You don't even have that kind of worker placement thing where you can block people by just taking something that they really need. You can do that by bidding for the tiles, but they always have a chance if they've got workers hidden away that they can bid more than you. Then you might think you're hosing them, but in fact they can outbid you and they get the tile. So a lot of cool stuff going on in it. Now, granted, I've got to play this game a lot more than I have played it so far, but I can tell you my first couple plays, I've really enjoyed this game. I'm curious to see how it evolves for me over time. And let's look at some other comments from people that have rated this game on a scale of 1 to 10. So Nicholas says he's rated this game a 3, which is very poor, and he says boring beyond measure. Keyflower is one of those dry European games that pass themselves off as sophisticated and intellectual just because they proudly bear not even a grain of theme or fancy, whereas actually they can be easily exploited simply by playing them thoughtlessly and recklessly. As a matter of fact, everything in the game, from the tiles selection to the worker placement up to the strategies you choose to carry out, is just random. Which means you only have to hamper your opponents in order to make the best out of each turn. And above all, even to add something interesting to do the game that otherwise would be terribly plain and tiresome. So yeah, if you find this kind of thing, this resource management thing, this auction mechanic that I've described, some people find that boring, and this game is probably not going to add enough to make a Euro game not boring to you. So if you find yourself saying things like that game's too Euro-ish, or if you don't like Euro games, or if you're hostile to the word, then this is something that's not going to be for you. But if you do like Euro games, this has some different elements in it. And I think the theme is integrated pretty well with the seasons. The colonists coming over. When a colonist gets there, you're trying to build stuff. And you might not be able to build what you want. You might not have the resources. You might not have the right workers. So you can connect the theme. It's tenuous in spots, but I found it pretty thematic, really, for a Euro game. Let's see somebody who's rated it much higher than that. Let's read a 10. So Lindsay says, Just keeps getting better and better with more play. Started off as an 8, then nudged up to a 9, and now it's just a pleasure to bring out and get my teeth stuck into. This is Le Havre, really nail it, and hence a 10 in my book. Agricola would be up there too. Easily my favorite key game. While there's plenty to think about, it's not energy wasted on too many rules. That said, a cheat sheet for players with all the tile descriptions would be handy for players to grab hold of. Rules are clear, but a bit of an effort to read through the first time. So I think Lindsay and I have a lot of the same opinions on that. But the game is rated pretty highly at this point in time. It's got a total rating of 7.95, which is actually really high. That's over almost 1,100 ratings so far. And it's got a board game rank of 145, which is pretty good. So for people that like Euro games, they're reacting positively to Keyflower. I like it myself, and I'm looking forward to playing it more. I hope this review was helpful for you. If you are a casual gamer, stay away from it. If you are thinking about introducing a game to your family or a group of non-gamers, this is not it. If you don't like games that have little player interaction, if you are not a fan of Euro games, stay away from this. If you do like Euro games, if you do like strategy, if you like auction mechanics, if you like building towns, if you like the kind of the game foundation where you are building towns, gaining resources to add on to your towns, to improve your town so you can gain more resources and score points. If you like that kind of thing, you should definitely play this. Now again, if that sounds stale to you, remember they did add some things here that I think bring it up a notch, not just the auction mechanic, but the fact that you are picking from 3 different basically end of game scoring tiles, and you are bidding on those in the last round as well. That makes it very cool. And some people don't like that, right? Because if you might want to really be able to control everything. I want to build my engine. I want to score my points. I want to be the master of my own destiny. And if you work really hard during the game to score some of these tiles that you've had since the beginning, and then somebody outbids you just because they got more workers in that last round of the right color, then that can be something that might bother you. But if you don't mind a little bit of randomness like that in a game, then it might add to your experience with Keyflower. So hopefully that's helped you. Let me know what you think about it, and I'll be back again soon with episode number 20. Thanks. Bye.